Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. Today is Monday, November 10th. It is 4 p.m. and we are at the Carson City Community Center, Robert Bob Kroll Boardroom. Can I get a roll call?
Andrew Reno.
Here.
Diana LaForge. Garrett Lapierre. We have a quorum.
Great. Could everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, and I will open it up for public comment. Hearing none, we will move on to item 5, approval of minutes for October 13th, 2025 CTA board meeting. Do we have any additions or changes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 13th, 2025?
I move to approve the minutes from the October 13th meeting.
I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to item 6. Would any member of the public or any member of the board like any items pulled for further discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And the motion passes. Let's see here. Okay, next we will move on to item 9. Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of the CTA fiscal year 2025 annual audit and financial report. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Chris Kipp.
Thank you. Chris Kipp for the record. I have Nicole Nealon from Casey Nealon on the WebEx, and she's going to go through our fiscal year 25 audit report and financial statements.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us this afternoon. I am actually going to introduce you to Suzanne Olson. Suzanne is the audit engagement partner. I've been the engagement partner for several years, but I am actually retiring at the end of this year. And Suzanne worked with me on the audit so that we could provide a smooth transition into next year for your audit. And so I'm going to have her work through the financial statements with you and talk about the audit opinion. It's a good way for you to get to know her. I know she worked with Chris this year. Before I do that, I just want to thank you for the years that I've worked with you and the support that Chris and David have provided me as your auditor over these years. They're great to work with, and you should be very proud of them. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne.
Suzanne, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
All right. I am going to not be able to turn my camera on. I'm not able to get that to work. I apologize for that. But good afternoon. I'm going to start with the audit report, which can be found on page 1 of the, or it's actually on page 4 of your materials. I'd like to let you know that we did have an unqualified audit opinion, which is the highest level that we are able to provide in an audit. That can be found in the second paragraph of that audit, the report on the audit of the financial statements. Then I'm going to move down into the MD&A and go over some of the highlights. We're going to go to page 5 or page 8 of your materials. And we're going to look at the statement of net position. And first, I'd like to point out that your total assets and your deferred outflows increased from $4.8 million to $6.1 million from 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Your total liabilities and deferred inflows increased from 2.3 million to 2.9 million. And then your total net position increased as well from 2.5 million to 3.2 million. One of the things that I did want to point out on this, and it is included in your long-term liabilities here, is that during fiscal year 2025, the authority received $315,675 worth of grant funds in advance for the cultural corridor project. Of that money that was received as of June 30, 2025, 237,000 of it was not spent as of the end of the year, so it was moved to be reported as deferred revenue. So it's sitting in your long-term liabilities so that it can be used in a later period. So that's something that I wanted to bring to your attention this year. Additionally, moving down to the next page, you'll see the statement of activities information. Operating grants and contributions increased from 146,000 to 188,000 from last year to this year. Your total overall revenue increased from $3.1 million to $3.4 million. Your total expenses increased from 2.5 million to 2.7. And then in fiscal year 24, your change in net position was $680,000, and it increased to $700,000 as of June 30, 2025. That concludes the highlights of the audited financial statements. Is there anyone that has any specific questions related to the audit that was included in your board materials?
Any questions on the board?
Suzanne, the only other thing I would add for the board's consideration is GASB 101, which was a new statement added in the current year, which required a restatement of your compensated absences. The compensated absences were calculated by Carson City, by the controller's office, the finance department there. But you did see an increase this year in those compensated absences. And so I just wanted to point that out to you. Not hugely significant, but it was a change in reporting.
In addition to that, there was actually 2 GASBs that were implemented during the fiscal year. So if you move to the communications letter, which I believe is found towards the bottom of the report. It looks like it is page, it looks like it starts on page 49 of your board materials. And if you look under the significant audit matters paragraph, that first paragraph, you'll see that where the GASB 101 was implemented as well as GASB 102. 101 did have an adjustment for you this year, the compensated absences, but the GASB 102, the implementation for the certain risk disclosures, did not have a significant impact on the authority. So there is a disclosure in note 1 that talks about GASB 102. But it does say that there was no significant impact associated with the implementation of that one. In addition to that, you do have a couple of sensitive estimates on your financial statements. They both pertain to, well, there's one that pertains to PERS, and then there's our PEB, your pension, I apologize, and your OPEB. In addition to that, the disclosures that are associated with your pension and your OPEB that are reported on your audited financial statements are also considered sensitive disclosures. Um, and then the other thing that I wanted to point out is that your financial statement disclosures are presented in a neutral, consistent, and clear fashion. We did not have any difficulties at all this year performing the audit, nor did we have any. Management was spectacular to work with. They are very, they respond very timely and they're super helpful. So that is something that is very appreciated during the audit process. You will see that there were a couple of journal entries that were provided to management that will be recorded or were recorded. In addition to that, we reported on some adjustments that were proposed to report the changes for the government-wide statement of activities. And the detail of those adjustments can be found on page 13 of the audited financial statements. There were adjustments proposed to report the changes for the government-wide statement of net position as well, and those can be found on page 11 of the audited financial statements. And then finally, we were not required to seek any management consultations with other accountants to be able to perform your engagement, and we did not identify any audit findings or issues during our during your audit engagement either. So that concludes my presentation of your audit results for fiscal year ending June 30, 2025. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions on the board? No? I think we're good there.
Nikki, this is Dave. I just wanted to say congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for being an amazing partner on the audits. So I really appreciate it. Suzanne, this is great. Looking forward to working with you on the Visit Carson City stuff. So, and I would just say on behalf of Chris and Casey, but Chris, she does a phenomenal job with all of our financial documents and the accounting, and that's why we have a highest level audit. So thank you, Chris. Casey has jumped right in, obviously, in support on the accounting side of things, and great work. So thank you both.
Yeah, thank you again.
You've got a great team there. And I really do want to thank you for the years that we've worked with you. It has been my pleasure. And hopefully I'll see all of you somewhere in the community in the future.
Well, good luck to you and enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything.
I did thank Susan. Thank you. No, I did thank Susan. Yeah, thank you, Susan. Yes, if that wasn't clear, I apologize. Yes, excellent work, Susan. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to exit. There you go.
Been there. All right, with that, can I get a motion to approve the annual audit report and financial statement for fiscal year 2025?
I move to approve the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority's audit report and financial statements for fiscal year 2025.
I will second that motion. So all in favor to approve the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to item 10. Discussion and possible action regarding the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Employee Policies and Procedure Manual. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. David Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. This has been in the works for some time. I want to thank Chris first and foremost for her work on pulling these policies together. Also, huge thanks to Jeff and Ariel at Carson City HR, Human Resources, and then Mr. Reese down there, our DA. They've been great to work with and to pull these together. So I'm going to hit the highlights rather than walking you through 33 pages. The CTA Employee Policy and Procedure Manual has been provided to update the current old Carson City Visitor Bureau Employee Policies and Procedures Manual from July 1st, 2017. These updates have been made to provide better clarification of the employee benefits, define expectations, and set procedures for handling employee situations and relations. So highlights section 4 in the packet. It's page 5 of 44 on compensation. This provides more detail regarding employee compensation packages, holiday pay, and then overtime pay in the case of support staff only. Number 5, outside employment, that's page 8 of the actual packet. That section is new, so that did not previously exist. Section 9, attendance and leave, which is page 18 of 44 in the packet. Chris has done a great job here to provide more detail for hours of employment, alternative work schedule options, attendance and reporting absences, along with different types of leave outside of annual management and sick leave, such as bereavement leave. We're also addressing and covering maternity, paternity, adoption, admin, civil, and leave without pay in that section. And then section 10, which is the workplace harassment, page 28 of 44 in the packet. That section is new as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or of course, if you would like the correct answer to the question, we can ask Chris. If there are any from the board.
I'm glad that we have a workplace harassment policy in place now.
Are these all in line with the Carson City Human Resources policies and procedures?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so we worked with HR to ensure we've got FLSA, Fair Labor Standards Act compliance, we have state compliance, yes, with the city. If Todd, you want to jump in, federal stuff on FMLA, yeah, we're absolutely made sure.
I did, and Chair, that's a great question. One of the things that we didn't have time to do, but that we want to do moving forward, is to look at the city's policies, and in situations where CTA works with the city close enough such that the CTA could use the city's policy, we'll take a look at figuring out whether CTA's policy should be effectively identical to the city's policy. There are certain situations where CTA's policy should be different, and we'll take a look at that moving forward over the next couple of months.
Great. Does any board members have any other questions regarding? Well, with that, I move to approve the Employee Policies and Procedures Manual as presented and to authorize the Executive Director to manage and amend these policies except where legal counsel recommends approval of an amendment by the CTA Board, and to present the changes to the policies once each year to the board. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 11. Presentations and discussion regarding the calendar year 2024 Carson City economic impact of tourism. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Chairman David Peterson.
Thank you, Chair Reno. I appreciate that. I'm going to hit the highlights on 2024. I know it seems a little peculiar. It's November and we're talking about 2024, but so goes economic impact research in terms of when it's available. It's usually late September or October, and we do get this information through the state, Travel Nevada, Department of Tourism, Cultural Affairs, and they work with Tourism Economics, which is a fantastic firm out of the East Coast. So highlights for you all. 2024, again, all of this is calendar year. So with profiles, with economic impact research, everything is going to be on a calendar year basis relative to everything else that we talk about, which is fiscal year. Just a little over $242 million in direct visitor spending. That was down 1.3% relative to calendar 23. And you see the breakdown below, a little over $63 million in gaming, $48 million retail, and then recreation just under $48 million, food and beverage a little over $34 million, lodging a little over $33, and transportation $15.2 million. So the shares, we're down in a couple of spaces. Not a lot from a lodging perspective, so I was happy to see that. Again, we've had some pretty big growth here over the last few years. So where do folks spend the most? Gaming, interestingly enough, still leads the way in terms of the category level spending. So talk a little bit about total business sales, 392 million. That S&L is state and local taxes, 31 million. And then total business sales, well, I said that already, sorry, which was down a little bit there, 392 versus 397. In terms of labor income, direct was 88.3 million total, a little over 150 mil. Again, we talked about the state and local federal taxes, a little over 35 million. And then employment, it's about 5.5% of the share. That was down relative to last year because we had about 3,900 jobs in terms of the way it calcs out for Carson City County. We're sitting at a total of 3,700 jobs in total. 2.4 of that was direct. So, and then what I always find interesting is on the side there you see on that page 2, state and local tax savings per household, about $1,300 per household from having tourism and the impact of tourism, right, in Carson City. In terms of tourism generated income, it's $6,400. And then what is our approximate daily spending by visitors? A little over $663,000. So interesting numbers to say the least. So that's kind of a nutshell where things stand. That third page just kind of gives you a breakdown of what the decreases were, in this case 24 relative to 23, and I won't read all of those for you all. And then the last page is your glossary, just in terms of definitions and what the calculations are, what the different measures are. So I still think, relatively speaking, yeah, it was a little bit of a drop, but pretty good numbers if you look at the trajectory from 2020, sitting at 160 mil to be up there in the 240s range. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have on 2024 economic impacts of tourism here in Carson City, if there are any. Okay. Nope. Great. Well, if the chair doesn't mind then, thank you. I will go ahead and move on to agenda item 12, which are our monthly non-action items, presentation discussion only. We'll go with 12A, Executive Director Update. I just have a couple of quick things for the board. The Polar Express Media Partner Night is this Thursday, and we will kick off our first official trains on Friday for Polar Express. Totally sold out. Awesome for the V&T. So good stuff there. We've got some new decorations. There's going to be a little bit of a change with the performance itself on the train. We've got some new things at the North Pole as well with the contracts that we have in place there, making sure we're in compliance with rail events on behalf of Warner Brothers. But I'm excited that if you were there last year or the year before, the performance will be different on the train, and the North Pole will also be a little bit different as well. So try to keep it fresh, change it up a little bit for everybody to keep them coming back each year and seeing something a little different, especially for the kids. So the second thing that I thought I should mention is the hotel motel position that Member Bot is currently in closed today, and there is one applicant. And that interview should be December 4th with the Board of Supervisors, as far as I know today, subject to change, of course. But there's one applicant that the Board of Supervisors will consider next month. So just giving you all a heads up on that end of things. And with that, that's all I've got for you this month. Short and simple. Any questions? Please.
Is that the shortest report from Mr. Peterson ever?
It's possible.
We were hoping for it. It was right where we wanted it.
I'm trying to cut down, to get you guys out of here in less than a couple of hours, right? So, see, Chris, I can do it, Yeah, thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to 12B, transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. The big sheet in your packet. So cutting to the chase, September was not a good month. As you can see, we're projected to be down just under 14%, September over September. I did go ahead and reproject October, November, December. We'll have to see what happens with Jesse's property with the Home 2 Suites. That may now not come online in December, so it may come online after the holidays as well. So we may have to make some adjustments to December. The whole market down, not maybe to the extent that our September was down. I'd like to remind the board, though, that with the closure of Centennial, due to us putting the new turf fields in, there were no tournaments at all for the month of September, because if Stu was here, he'd probably correct me here, but I think the last tournament was at some point in August to prepare for the renovations that are taking place at Centennial. And I don't need to tell you all what's obviously been happening out there in the economy. I hope October isn't, we come in a little better than that, but I don't know, given the fact that the full effects of the shutdown went into play as of the 1st of October. So Chris and I'll stay close to this and, update as best as we can each month for the board. But September was not a good one, especially after setting a record for the month of August. So happy to address any questions if there are any.
So was it just the revenue down, or was the occupancy down too? Out of curiosity, if
Yeah,
not
so
exactly.
if I misspeak, Chris, jump in, but I believe in looking at the numbers, and again, we haven't verified everything. Chris has to reach out to some properties just to confirm some of the numbers, but room nights occupied were down, occupancy was down, ADR was down, RevPAR was down. So all the inputs were down for the month of September.
So it's not just ADR.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Any other questions on? Okay. Hopefully I'll come here with better news next month. All right. Thank you. With that, let's go ahead and move on to 12C, Arts and Culture Update. Mr. Brooks, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Eric Brooks, for the record, Arts and Culture Program Manager. Halito from Choctaw. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Halito's hello in the Choctaw language. So we have a few things to review from October. We were able to help out with the remaining native film screening that it was going to be outdoors at Stewart Indian School. And they ended up moving it into the gym because of rain. They still had about 60 people there and a super fun crowd, an amazing movie. It's going to be nominated for an Oscar from what we were told that night. So it's a beautiful story. It's something that I think that if you haven't seen it, try to see it. There were t-shirts being screened there as well by Leica Press that's out of Reno. The demographic age-wise was babies to people barely walking. It was an amazing crowd to see everyone out. Primarily native, but a handful of locals as well. And we'll also talk about Mark Twain Days and the 26th Annual American Indigenous Tourism Conference. So Mark Twain Days, thank you for those of you who were able to come out and participate in some of the events. Overall, it was a much more successful event than last year. We did some pivoting. Lydia and the team were a huge help. And then being able to work with Brewery Arts Center and their team of volunteers, Spike and Val, it was a much smoother and well-attended event compared to last year. This year, we also partnered with the Nevada State Library, and there's a photo there of Mark Twain cutting the ribbon for that room. It's a beautiful room. We ended up doing 2 events there. And this was the first year, I think we talked about it a little bit last year, but we really want to make this a true literary event. There's a need for it in our community, and I think with Mark Twain as being the umbrella, we're going to be able to do a lot of really fun things around that. So we did the ribbon cutting there on Thursday. We had the Gold Hill News reception that evening. The Gold Hill News is an absolutely fascinating treasure, and those papers and the original sign from the Gold Hill News is on the wall, and that'll be up until the 16th. So if you haven't seen it, make an effort. It's a museum type quality exhibition, and those stories from 50 years ago are so incredible. We also had one of the old reporters, Dave Moore from the Gold Hill News. He worked with the Connection Central that's based out of the BAC on the third Thursdays. So he gave a little talk about his journalistic time at the Gold Hill News in comparison to how Mark Twain was in Virginia City as well. And they had same years on a couple of things, same amount of money. Mark Twain was making the same amount of money that Dave Moore was making in 1974, $50 a week. But a really fun crowd. Then Hope Academy Twain program, McAvoy Lane was part of that, so that was a benefit for the Hope Academy. It was a young Chautauquans event primarily. And then Tony Evans Jr. was at the Nashville Social Club. So all that was on Thursday, so a really good kickoff. Then we moved on to Friday, which again was loaded, and we did a lot less. If you remember last year, we did 100 events between Virginia City and Carson City in 3 days. And that was problematic for several reasons. Too much for the audience and too much work, really. But the content this year was just fabulous. Our MC for the event was Brad McBone, who came up from Vegas. He's the folk life specialist at the Nevada Arts Council. And I meant to bring some maps. There weren't many left, but I'll have some at the office if you want to see them. Instead of doing the newspaper this year, it was a fold out. The events were much clearer, and where they were much clearer than it was in the paper. And then when you open it up all the way, it was a fourfold, I guess. We had a statement from Brad that he had written. We also had a poem that Sean Griffin, our Nevada State Poet Laureate, gave us to print. And then we also had a poem by Jesse James Ziegler, the Reno Poet Laureate. We really wanted to get the Clark County Laureate up here, but she had a conflict. So we're going to try to redo that event that will have the Reno, Clark County, and State Poet Laureates doing a roundtable. And hopefully Brad McMullen will be the one to facilitate that, mediate it. So hopefully that'll happen this summer. Of course, the Twain Train sold out, which is great. Last year we had 100 seats, something like that.
Way too many, yes.
Yeah, so again, just showing that this year's event was much better attended. We had those 2 events at the Nevada State Library. Danny Putney and Brad McMullen also was speaking. And those both had over a dozen people, which for a Friday afternoon is fantastic. Really interesting stuff. PPI did Arsenic and Old Lace at the BAC. And then the big program was Mark Twain and Julia Boudet together again. And that was about an hour and a half of the 2 of them, Chautauqua, talking to each other and telling stories. And I can't imagine what McAvoy Lane would have been like in his prime, because he is still just so solid, and almost, I think he transforms into some sort of different beast. You can see his eyes roll up in his head a little bit, and he just becomes Mark Twain. It's really remarkable to see, and we had a great crowd for that as well. Saturday was the big day, Kids Fishing Day. That was new for this year at Bailey's Fishing Pond. The Harvest Train was great that they had that at the Train Museum for Saturday and for Sunday. The Ghost Walk was well attended. We had the vendor fair with over 40 vendors this year, which was much better than last year. And we were able to move everything. I won't go too long into this, but originally this event was going to close Carson Street, and we were going to do food trucks and vendors in Carson Street, activate McFadden Plaza, and then for the workshops and lectures, that was going to be inside the state capitol. All of that changed about a month, 6 weeks out of the event. We're no longer able to have Carson Street, so we pulled everything back to the BAC, which actually worked out really, really well. We were able to have the Performance Hall lobby activated, and we had 3 events in there, and then we were using the ballroom upstairs as well, so people could go to one event and then come to the other. And we're gonna work on that a little bit more, but it was super fun to have the vendors and the music, and then you had the different activities going on. So it worked out really, really well. And we were also able to have Dr. Amy Galleri from Western Nevada College. She brought some of her equipment for printmaking and set up in the exhibition hall. And for 5 hours, she didn't take a break. There were people there doing the activity with her the entire time. And there may be, this will just be a little teaser, She may be moving that equipment on a more permanent level and be teaching out of the BAC. That's part of their initiative to have more teaching events there. And then Ogre's Home Pottery, they did the workshop again where we love them. They're a great partner in all of our arts events one way or another. And with the pottery studio, they were able to move they came down. So everything was there on campus. And same thing, they did over 300 of these little frogs, just nonstop, people of all ages coming in and doing that. So really good activities. Then the wagon rides were super fun. Michael Branch, the Trail of the Jackalope, blows me away. I saw him do this at Cowboy Poetry last year and invited him immediately to come do that. The history of the jackalope is fascinating, and it also helped after I saw it last year. I'm taking up all of Dave's extra time today, by the way.
Please continue.
It also was a small inspiration for the railroad spikes and for the birthplace of Mark Twain, and having that be one of our new tourism pushes, or at least arts and tourism push. Jen Toon from up in Gardnerville, so we want to include a little bit in Carson Valley as well. She came and she's a great speaker, talked about the Main Street program. Phil Corbett did a live podcast of The Wind, which is on NPR as well. Same thing, just blows me away.
That was really cool. I mean, I was sitting in the back of the room for that, and I was a bit mesmerized, I'll be honest with you, listening to that. I fell asleep at one point. Like, it was so soothing. It was really something else. Like, just his voice he just has such an interesting sound to his voice and the way that he was executing the stories. It was really cool. So yeah.
And that's what we'll be looking forward to doing more next year as well. That we tested out this year was doing storytelling and not just people reading. And then in the performance hall, we'll go through this rest of this a little quick. Suzanne Williams was a hands-on writing workshop. She normally gets 3 to 4 people. She had 7, so that was great. Michael Smith, Twain and the Black America, fascinating as well. The Lowbrow Social was at the museum. Similar to last year, for those of you who went last year and those of you who came this year, had the musicians spread out through the museum. We did a little smaller scale with the catering, which worked out really well, and used National Social Club. Did all the food, which taking that off the plate was the best decision that we made for the entire event. And then we partnered with Minden Mill, who's been doing some of the art receptions at the Visit Carson City Satellite Gallery. So they made a huckleberry cocktail special for the event, and then they were there to staff it and interact with people along with the volunteers at the bar. Really great experience. Carson Street Ragtime Band was perfect. I think everybody that came had a really, really good time. And then Sunday, just a couple things, the Harvest Train and a show at Nashville. There's a couple photos for you there on the next page. Had all those little calovirus frogs, and then there is we're gonna play a video for you. So it was dark, but when you wandered down into the mine, we had the fiddle player down there, and she's the national champion fiddle player last year. So some really great
The
talent.
harpsichord, is that what it is? The harpsichord lady?
No, that was the one upstairs.
Yeah, she was awesome though as well. Like,
Oh, maybe she was the one that was.
she was that big.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was really cool. I was simulating. Yes, thank you, Lydia.
And then we had Will Hawk, who's part of KNVC, the community radio station, and the community radio station has also moved into BAC in the basement of the performance hall where Livingstone Church used to be. So really expanding their reach for all arts. And then we'll finish up with the conference that I was very thankful and fortunate to be able to go to the end of October in Choctaw, Mississippi. I learned a ton, and some of these numbers we'll just go through real quick. This was the 27th Tourism Conference. Sherry Rupert, who some of you may know from being around here, and her and her husband Ben, who is in charge of all the Indian territories in Nevada, they've just relocated to Carson. They moved back, so that's great to have them back in the community. So seminars, breakout sessions, creative ways to adapt, thrive, and build new partnerships, embrace emerging technologies, and view challenges through a fresh lens. Had a really interesting AI session, learned a ton about that and some different ways where we might be able to incorporate it into what we're doing. And then these numbers are just great in the second bullet point. 11.6 billion indigenous hospitality sector. And with what we have with the museum and the Basket Gallery and Stewart Indian School, we can definitely tap into some of that. And it's going to be really exciting the next couple of years to see how we can grow this market, this demographic of the market. And there are over 300 attendees, 56 options for networking, keynote sessions, and breakouts. So it really was from 7:30 in the morning till 5, moving and going and learning and meeting people. It was really, really well done. So thank you, David, for letting me attend that. Yeah.
Is there a definition for indigenous hospitality tourism or indigenous tourism? I just want to understand that concept a little bit better.
So it's, to try to put it in a nutshell, it's people who lived on the land before colonization using their history to draw people as a tourism attraction.
And when we do stuff like the Stewart Indian Museum is amazing. They've done a great job. It looks beautiful. And I'm new to all this, so we're just trying to understand the lay of the land. Is the state a good partner in that, or is that someone that partners with us at Visit Carson City to help bring events there? You know, if we brought something to them and said, here's an idea we have to do, what would that look like?
We have a great working relationship with Stewart and have done tons of events with he and with their director and with Melissa Moose Malero, who does their gallery. They would know
Can
better about the
if I can
financial
just
side of things.
jump in, Garrett. So we have kind of co-branded or co-participated with Travel Nevada, the Reno Sparks Convention Visitors Authority on FAMs that have included and Visit Carson Valley. Yeah, bringing people through, whether that's tour operators, motor coach operators, folks, domestic, international. I feel like we will be back out there for Go West, pre-FAM, right? Go West Summit. We'll replicate something that we did for the National Tour Association, which are motor coach operators as well. I love including Stewart as much as we possibly can. In the past, we've also brought folks from Mexico out there, a partnership with the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, which we have a great working relationship with our peer DMOs. And so again, this goes to, Stewart is a one-of-a-kind, right, as far as I'm concerned. Nationally, I would argue as it relates to the story that's being told there, because you could go to other similar type facilities that have been created, I would even argue across North America, if we include Canada. The beauty of Stewart is it truly tells the history from 1890 to 1980. It's the whole ribbon in the ceiling and bringing everything back around, to when it closed. I find the story it's powerful, right? But we also, they tell it, we tell it the way it is. So we don't try to whitewash or take away the bad times, so to speak, right? And I think that resonates with the people that we're bringing out there. And, I've worked with some tour operators who have, one particular gentleman I think has been to every single facility of its kind, at least in the US, maybe even Canada. And he said, hey, this is the best one out there, because it's authentic and the story is true. It rings true over that 90-year history. But back to your original question, yes, there are several partnerships that we have with our peer DMOs. When we're allowed to do pre-conference activities where it makes sense and we can fit it into the schedule, we do include Stewart. And I would say to Melanie and Chris and Josh out there, as far as what we're trying to do now is to have an actual experience, right, where they can participate. And I'm going to bungle this because we were supposed to do something with the lotions or something, but I think they wound up with lip balm. I feel like that's what it was. So forgive me for not remembering, but you're going to that facility. I want you to have an experience like the folks that came through that facility had. And so the idea of like a tribal ancient, lotion or lip balm or something like that, and get these folks to actually make it themselves is really what I want to see happen out there, because I think that's tactile, right? And then that's something that our tour operators can take away and figure out how to package, Stuart. So still working, yes, with them. Obviously, we have the Stuart Father's Day powwow event. We've done the run with that one. What's his name?
Name is Koo Stevens. That's who the
Oh, yeah.
documentary was about.
Yeah, the documentary. Thank you, Koo Stevens. The documentary. So I think we do some really cool things out there, and I think the sky's the limit, honestly, with the facility. And when people go there, a lot of people know about it. I'll just be honest with you. So oftentimes, us including Stuart as a pre-conference activity or post-conference activity for a trade show is the first time that they're even being exposed to Stuart, right? And in fairness too, I should just not that I want to take 20 minutes but we do. Maybe I do. No, I'm just kidding. We do change things up, right? So we want to make sure we're including museum properties where applicable, or the historic state prison, right, where applicable. So we do change things up a little bit, right, trying to take into consideration, would folks be coming back, like an ABA or an NTA, right, and what makes sense. Oftentimes it's time that we have them for in Carson City that dictates what we can and can't do. But anyway, to answer your question again for the third time, Eric, we do incorporate the facility as much as we can. We've shot the video. So Ben Rupert in full traditional American Indian attire. We've done videos, we've done pictures, the whole 9 yards out there as well, to help promote the facility to the masses too. So if I'm missing anything, Lydia, jump in, you guys. So just a little more background. So yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for the clarification. So we'll go through this real quick. So one of the things that they did is a mobile workshop, which I thought was a great way to frame this. So we got on a bus and went out to the Mother Mound. It's where the Choctaw people believe that their people came from, born out of this mound and also a cave. It ended up becoming a cemetery. Fascinating stuff. We're told stories by one of the older elders. And then we just did a little drive around, and they did a chanta mill. So they cooked everything outside. So we were all out there standing around, watching them cook, standing at the fire, and then went inside and ate together. And then they had an afternoon of little workshops we could do. So you could make a rabbit stick keychain, a sewn headband, a beaded necklace, an earrings, a mini drum, a round comb, or a basket weaving. I did the rabbit stick, which I'll tell you all about later. And then on the next page, there's just some photos to go along with it. And having that experience of making and everyone in there doing the different thing, those are the types of activities I think we could help develop with Stuart. And then just some of the sessions. The drumming procession, singing and prayer at the beginning was absolutely amazing. Food as Heritage was really, really interesting with a chef out of Texas that's making native meals now, but he's James Beard Award winner, so really fancy food, but all native ingredients. The Indigenous training curriculum was really interesting, positioning Indigenous tourism for global growth. And then the Juan Bautista de Anza Historic Trail closing I brought you one of those, Dave. They were able to make a map of the entire trail, which goes from Mexico through New Mexico and up into California and ends at Big Sur. And it's a catalog. It's all the things to do. It's a really well put together. And they talked about how they were able to do that and the tourism it's brought to all those areas. And with that, thank you. Happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions? If I could just add one thing from a food perspective. Don't panic, Chris. This will be quick, less than 20 minutes. We have engaged local folks to do an authentic Indian taco lunch or dinner, just depending again on the timing as well. And everybody loves that. So where we, again, can pull in local folks who may either have gone to Stewart or descendants of folks that attended Stewart, we try to do that as well. And they tell really fantastic stories, quite frankly. So, and we've done I think we did the dream catcher beadwork stuff as well with a group from Mexico a few years back, and they absolutely love that. So it's just, you hit the nail on the head. It's doing something, with your hands, right, and creating something. And I think that's unique. We need to work with Stewart because obviously, as I keep telling them, you got to work on the budget, make sure you have funds to be able to purchase supplies, right? So if we bring 25 or 50 people in, we can do this because I don't want it to have to come out of somebody's pocket, right, on the Stewart side of things. So still a work in progress, of course, but they definitely love the idea. So yeah, no, thank you, Eric. I'm glad he went to AITC. I think it was good just to see the opportunity I think that we have with American Indian Native culture in Carson City and the surrounding areas. So cool. Okay, if there are no questions for Eric, I'd like to go ahead and move on to 12D, the marketing and PR update. Lydia, take it away, please.
Thank you. I'll maybe make up some time because mine is relatively short this month. And thanks to Dave for doing all of our presentations last month. I had a very sick kiddo, so I very much appreciate being able to be there for her. But I always go through our digital growth and our PR update. That's a staple that I always like to present the stats and then like to break down the highlights of what exactly those all mean. So we're going to skip over to the insights and just go over that overall web performance on the website remains really strong. So we had sustained audience growth across all channels, and our web visitation was up 50% year over year. Our lodging referrals dipped month over month due to seasonal travel shifts is what we're likely attributing that to, and normalization following September's really high-performing nostalgia campaign that we had running last year that we had thrown quite a bit of advertising dollars behind. So we didn't go quite that strong this year because we also put that towards our winter campaign. And we don't have a direct year-over-year data for that due to switching from RIPE back on October 13th of last year. But we are up 29% compared to the same period last year once that tracking is actually normalized. For all of you, you actually weren't here when we had during our RIPE period. RIPE, to give you some insight, was in theory a very cool company that allowed people to book hotels directly through our website at a 0% commission. So it didn't impact or take away from any of our hotels, but we ended up having nothing but issues with the implementation and some frustrations with the company. We gave it a strong go and we decided to pull the plug because we just weren't seeing the return on our investment. It was a fairly pricey platform that we just weren't seeing the return on. So when you see a lodging referral from our website, that means someone went to our lodging page, they saw a hotel that they liked, they clicked on it, and then they clicked to book a room, the button that we have on there, and that brings them to the booking page for the hotel that we have. So the Federal is a great example. We'll say book a room and it'll bring them right to their booking page for the hotel website. So we call that a lodging referral because that is someone at least interested enough in booking a room and learning more about that hotel. And that's really about as far as we can track without having a booking engine within our website. So I hope that helps bring a holistic picture of why you'll see RIPE. And so when some of our lodging referrals really aren't matching up, it's because when we had RIPE, we switched lodging referrals to be actual bookings. And those were quite low in comparison to what you can imagine, just to click off into another booking engine. Now, Meta is all of our paid social media advertising, and it continues to deliver really exceptional efficiency with really high engagement and a low cost per click. So our paid search remains really effective even as outdoor related traffic naturally tapers in the cooler seasons. And of course, we also had our Mark Twain Days in which we were the advertising arm behind the event. And that campaign drove really outstanding awareness and engagement and reinforced that Carson City has a strong appeal in arts and culture and the storytelling around it. So any questions on the digital front? All right, then we will move over to public relations. We had a really great October. We all celebrated together the groundbreaking for the Travel Nevada Adventure Center. Right now, there's a lot of theories about what that's going to look like and what the final version of that will be. So we are, of course, communicating intently with Travel Nevada, and we're very excited to help and support that in any way that they want us to. And we're really excited to see how that also just changes the story and the storytelling in Carson City around outdoor activities. KPS3 on our behalf also attended Travel Nevada's media event, which they called the Night Skies at the Planetarium in Reno. And so they met with regional Northern Nevada media and social media influencers, strengthening those existing relationships. We had known and met each one of those people that had been there before, so it was great to also get another layer of being able to have one-on-one time with them in a really cool setting. And then we also had Capital to Tahoe Trail mentioned in Lonely Planet, and the travel outlet Lonely Planet, the best places in Nevada for spontaneous, unexpected adventures. So very cool. We thank Travel Nevada for that and that paid content mention. We also just had Eliza Freeman, a freelance writer on assignment from Good Info Newswire. She's actually a Las Vegas native. So she went around the region, but her story started in Carson City for Nevada Day. She arrived on Halloween on Nevada Day, and we put her up in a balloon. So she got to launch early in the morning and see all the weird and wild that Nevada Day is that we love so much. And she had a wonderful time before she went down into Carson Valley and explored some more of the region. I just got a thank you card from her in the mail today, thanking us for such a wonderful time in the city. So we look forward to continuing that message, especially with Las Vegas natives, expanding the excitement around Nevada Day and hopefully making it more of a statewide event. It's been a on the bucket list for us for a long time, and it's slowly making progress over the years. But with so much, not a lot of people are native in Vegas anymore. There's a lot of transient people that go through there. So finding people who are really passionate about the state, we're continuing to tap into that audience more and more every year. And then also our Halloween activities got picked up in many of our regional outlets. And then I'm going to end with some new content because I want to showcase the amazing work that Zach does. If you don't know Zach, he is our multimedia content coordinator. He does all of our in-house photo and video. And he's got some great content out about our events. I wanted to just make note that next month you'll see some incredible footage. We had a whole team on the ground and in the air. These are just some semi-decent things I got with my phone. So you can imagine what the professional cameras are going to look like. I also wanted to play this little video of what it looked like from the hot air balloon this year. So the professional photos from Shelby Holte, who's our local content partner, are going to be really incredible, and I'm very excited for you all to see that. So I'll have that next month. And I want to also showcase some of the work that we did for Dia de los Muertos.
My name is Isabel Gomez. I am the director of Ballet Folclórico Flor de Castilla, and we are here celebrating Dia de los Muertos with the Nevada State Museum. Dia de los Muertos is a day where we celebrate our family members who have passed. We invite them in on November 2nd to come and celebrate with our family like we used to when they were here in person.
The celebration consists of altars they put together that represent things that their loved ones enjoyed in life.
We put pictures out, we put different types of foods that our family members used to like, just so that way it invites them in and we honor them on our special day. If you've never been to a Dia de los Muertos event before, come by the Nevada State Museum in Carson City.
So it's just visually beautiful. The event is always really incredible. They just hosted it last weekend, so we're excited to see how that impact went. And then that's just an example of a full-length video that we cut down into ads, and we did many different formats. And another example is the Bronco Super Celebration. So Zach's also always working with Stu and with Eric for all the events that are coming up. And part of our deliverables as a sponsor or an endorser of an event is that we will provide 99% of the time, unless they have a full team that they're already providing. Zach is there to get the content for that event. So he just works super hard. We're really grateful for him. And
what's going on, everybody? My name is Mitch Curl from Wild Horses 4x4. We are out here at Carson City, Nevada for the Super Celebration Bronco event.
These Bronco events are just so cool. I mean, there's some folks here all the way from Louisiana. You know, that's a little bit of a haul.
From Lawrence, South Carolina.
We're from Newman Lake, Washington. Grass Valley, California.
The people are awesome. The community is awesome.
And it's just the people. I've met lifelong friends through this, and that's what I love about it.
You meet fellow Bronco enthusiasts, people who love the Ford Bronco. It doesn't matter what generation Bronco you have. You go on cruises together, drives together. My favorite part is to go off-roading, test your vehicle out, and have some fun.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome. Let's do it again.
We're here to make new friends. We're here to see new rigs, get new ideas, and then go out and enjoy some of this beautiful scenery in the mountains and ride these things.
I like the fact that the city and those surrounding areas support the off-roading aspect. It's nice to know that there are still places out here that you can do what we actually love.
If you're thinking about going to a Bronco event, you definitely need to make it to this one.
Make sure you build a Bronco to see the world, not so the world can see your Bronco. The adventures await. Get out there and drive it.
So very cool. So we give them full access to that so they can use it as advertising for next year. We just think that's a really nice value add that we can provide as a sponsor. And with that, that's it on my end, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions for Lydia, other than the obvious?
Well, now I want to get a Bronco.
Well, what about a visit
meeting costs me
Carson
money.
City? Logo
I don't hate it.
Bronco, 100,000. We could put it in the budget next year. Just consider that.
Just a couple ideas that I'll throw out there.
Okay.
Doing a series of 365 things to do in Carson City.
Mm.
That's the content right there. You guys have half the content already. That would not only market and promote, but that 365 days lives forever.
Mhm.
I think I've told you the story before. There's a real estate agent who did this in Vancouver, Washington, and went and filmed that. He still, to this day, it's 12 years old, still gets clientele that calls him because they saw that series, called him based on that. So I think that's just an easy way to have that live on YouTube. And, there's certainly 365 things that we can come up with and make happen. So have we ever talked about doing a documentary about Nevada Day?
No, we have not. Not a full-on documentary, but I feel like there's probably many filmmakers here in Nevada that would be interested in doing that we could partner with.
We are the only state that celebrates our statehood the way that we do.
That's true.
And I think it's unique. It certainly highlights Carson City. There's no doubt about that. It serves that Visit Carson City mission for sure. But maybe something to look at of doing, especially for next year, it'll be the 250th anniversary of America. So that I think will be a wild celebration, as it always is, but probably a little extra wildness. And then a campaign, social media campaign, all those signs that you see as you drive downtown with the different faces of people in the community.
Mm-hmm.
We can turn those signs to life and by asking a simple question of what's your favorite thing about Carson City? What do you love about Carson City? Some version of that question, and have them on video and share that out. Over time, whether that's in ads, whether that's just on our social media channels. I think that would be a nice, easy way to get the community involved in Carson City and sell the community from actual people who are not trying to sell the community.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think those are great ideas. Zach and I actually just had a meeting this morning where we have a small series called Navigate Like a Nevadan that we had started in 2020, and we definitely need some new, fresh content to go with that. So I think dovetailing that, and the whole point was getting a deeper dive into the interesting people in our community that help bring it to life. So it's definitely on our mind, and I think kind of going off of some of those people that we featured before, it would be a great idea to add to that. So thank you. We really appreciate the feedback and the ideas, and I think they're all implementable.
You bet. You guys do a great job. Zach's stuff always turns out really well. Really good
He's
job.
a talent. We're
Zach's a rock
lucky
star.
to have him.
He's so good.
He's like a whole production team in one guy. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, agreed. Thank you for the suggestions. I like them. So awesome. Okay, if there are no further questions, super work to you, Lydia and Zach. Let's go ahead and move on to 12E, future agenda items. Would anybody on the board like anything at the next meeting? Please go ahead.
Pipe up one last time. Brewfest Brewfest, I think having a conversation of how we can support them in attracting more people to come here and come here from over the hill and stay the night to go to the Brewfest. Whether that's marketing support, whether that's sponsorship support, some way to help them promote their event in an even greater way. Rotary was able to get a QR code on, and I'm gonna forget the brand of beer, but it's Fox brews it, and they have a particular can. You can scan your QR code, buy your ticket to the Brewfest there. Those are some really interesting ideas of how to get people out there, because you don't have to know anything about Brewfest. You go to the liquor store, go to the grocery store, buy a pack of beer, and what's the Brewfest, and scan it, and you end up finding out about it. So I think if there's some ways that we can help promote that, that could be a driver for us.
So if DA Reese doesn't mind me just interjecting for a second.
Sure.
Thank you. God, that was easy. I want to say Nathan, and I'm not sure his last name, he reached out to us, so I think we have an email string back and forth. I don't know if he replaced Jim, or if he's the new Jim Gray, or what's going on there for Brewfest, or?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
but
Oh.
Nathan's the new Jim.
Okay. Then that, makes perfect sense. So we do have a string going, because I want to make sure that we do let him it's kind of, you were asking the same exact questions that Nathan was asking in an email. We want to respond back to him as far as how we have supported Brewfest in the past. So we I don't know where we're at with that. I feel like I sent an email, linked you in, but I don't know. But we will make sure that, yes, we chat with him and see where else we may be able to help. But I also want him to understand what we are doing, because maybe there's a disconnect there, as well as what we've done in the past for that. So, because I feel like we've had influencers come in for that, journalists as well. So we brought some folks in and made sure to tie that event in, right, with some of our media-related things. So, yeah, cool. Thank you, Todd. All right. Anything else from the board on 12E? If not, we'll move on to 12F, our next meeting right here in this building, December 8th, 4 p.m. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the chair. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Dave. Now we'll move on to item 13. Any board comments or announcements or requests for information? Hearing none, we will move on to item 14, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Ms. Lapierre? Nothing? No? Okay. All right, with that, we are officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody.